All right, it looks like everything is working on my end. Hi and welcome, Jena Skai here, and thank you for joining me for our Somatic Wellness series. In today's video, we are talking about how to get more present. And before I get started with that, for those of you that might be new to me, to my channel, hi, I'm Jena Skai, and I have been a massage therapist for 20 years, and I've been a yoga instructor for about 10 years. And I have found myself on this journey of really weaving together the mind body connection because it's been such an important part of my life. So, a little background before we jump into what we'll be learning today. As I was about 17, I was diagnosed with a severe anxiety disorder, and I had developed agoraphobia. I couldn't leave my house. So, as you can imagine, being a teenager at that age, and going through that, while all my other friends were, partying and celebrating, graduating from high school, I was not able to participate in that because I literally would make it to the end of my driveway and pass out. So it was quite a traumatizing experience in and of itself. So the energy of anxiety has been something that has been present in my life for a long time. And it's not that, you know, it's disappeared or gone away, but it's that I have learned techniques to help me cope and to help build the resiliency within my nervous system. And I learned a majority of that through becoming a massage therapist. So I was blessed in my class, in my training, to have a teacher that really focused on, the mind body connection and wellness practices that incorporated those beliefs around that. And so this was before, the ideas or the concepts of somatic work was really well known, right? So it was kind of a blessing in disguise. I didn't fully understand or know why things were helping. I just knew that they were. And so I stuck with it. And that brings me here today, right? So I'm still sticking with it. I'm still learning. And part of this practice too, I have just been exploring the ways that I respond to different techniques and practices and just taking notes of, how that might relate to someone else that maybe is experiencing things the way that I do. So it is just an interesting thing. Now, that being said, everyone is on their own journey. Everyone experiences their own kind of trauma. And trauma doesn't have to mean, it's a specific situation or event. It can be a physical trauma, like a physical injury to the body. It can be something emotionally traumatizing or mentally traumatizing to the person. And it can be even witnessing a traumatic experience happening to someone else, right? There's so many different um, approaches to understanding what trauma is. So don't get too caught up in that or thinking it is only one certain thing, because it's not. It really embodies just a multitude of different avenues of how we are internally affected by our outside environment. So that being said, today we're working on how to get more present and how to get more embodied in the self. Because if you are someone that deals with anxiety, with PTSD, with just patterns from experiencing trauma yourself, some dissociation, right? So if we experience traumatic experiences, situations, we sometimes dissociate from our body. So especially in the context of physical trauma, it's not just for physical trauma, but especially so when we experience physical trauma. And this can be even chronic pain patterns in the body. If you're someone that's in chronic pain, do you really want to be noticing the bodily sensations, right? You're probably spending most of your energy trying to separate yourself from that, trying to ignore the physical pain that your body is telling you that it's in. And I mean, that's pretty normal, right? So this isn't to shame or put down these normal practices. And that's the key thing too. These are all normal ways that we cope, that our body responds, that we are built to respond to things. So this is definitely not to say that, you shouldn't be doing this or you shouldn't be experiencing this. No, like you are meant to have these coping mechanisms. And it's just a matter of understanding, because once you understand, then you know what you can do to help restore balance and harmony to your system. So, as an example, if you experience some physical trauma, right, and you've got pain in an area and you're trying to ignore the pain, you are allowing yourself to separate from the feeling sensations of your body, right? So this means you're no longer embodied, right? You're trying to escape your body. And in those moments, it might be beneficial in building up the tolerance that you need for a chronic pain condition. But at the same time, what happens is you lessen your ability to be aware of your bodily sensations. And in that aspect, that's where we start to see the dysregulation entering into the nervous system, because now you're not able to recognize and be aware of the bodily cues that are being sent to you. And this is where the practice of being present and being centered and being embodied really helps you to come back into the awareness of the sensations. But as I said, if you are separating yourself from that because you're in a lot of physical pain, this might not be the best practice for you at this time. However, if you've got some chronic pain patterns that are, maybe driven from tension, or perhaps, stress. If you're not familiar with me, I have a bird. um, if you have some chronic holding patterns from stress, even, this type of coming back into being more embodied and recognizing the sensations can help you in unraveling those held patterns of tension. And that's the beauty of this as well. When you turn towards it, which is turning inwards towards the body, towards how your body is speaking to you, that means feeling and recognizing the pain patterns that you're experiencing and allowing yourself to turn towards it, to speak with it, to have this internal dialogue going, you then are opening up that ability to really listen to your body. There's something that I like to joke and say, when it comes to us body workers as massage therapists, we're really the body whisperers, right? That's what we're doing. When we're working with someone on the table, we are really connecting into that person's body. And it's like we are really being the body whisperer, right? We are listening to the cues of us on the table without the person needing to say anything. I don't need a client to tell me where they're hurting or where their tension is, because I definitely can feel it, right? And I can follow that chain of tension across their body and know like where it's actually spreading at and where they're probably feeling other areas that they aren't even aware of yet. So this is where being a body worker really helps in the understanding of how intricate this system is, because when we are holding these chronic patterns of tension, it's creating this tightness in the body, in the fascia system, which covers our whole body. It also encapsulates our organs, right? The fascia is just such an amazing web of connective tissue, and I can do a whole nother video on fascia. But for now, I'm just going to keep it simple. When it's tight, it's almost like if you can picture in your mind a spider web and just grabbing a portion of that web and twisting it, and how it starts to pull and tighten all of the areas of surrounding it, right? That's what's happening in the fascia. So when you have an area that's really tight, it begins to squeeze in and contract, and it pulls the webbing of that fascia from other areas. And that's where you get this broad kind of pain going on. So when we bring our focus back into our bodies and we're allowing ourselves the spaciousness to have this internal conversation, this is where we get to really connect into our own tissues and speak to our own tissues, having that conversation with our own body and just witnessing, oh, I do feel tightness here. Why is this tight? And just allowing for that unraveling to happen, allowing for the things to pop up into your mind when you bring your awareness to that space. So do you have an area that feels tight and tense from stress? Do you know where your holding patterns are? Are you like me? Do you feel it in your neck and your shoulders and it gets really tight and you start to seize up and you feel that tightness creeping in the upper back and up into the neck? That is my area of tightness that I get when I'm tense, when I'm stressed, when I'm overwhelmed, right? So knowing this can help you in knowing where you really need to focus on scanning your body. So speaking of scanning, that's what we're going to practice doing today. So let's shift into, now that I've dumped all of this information on you, let's shift into the actual practice. And so that's part of what I want to do with this series is actually give you the tools that you can work with and continue using to help you experience more wellness in your life because we all could use a little more, right? So, for today, we're going to work on scanning. Scanning is a practice that you can do that helps you to find safety in your environment and in your body again. So, the scanning is twofold. We scan outside of ourselves, we scan the room, our environment to help us come into a feeling of safety in the space that we're in. And then we turn inwards and then we begin to scan the body to become aware of where we are holding things at in the body. So, this is where we get to explore the difference between scanning in the outer world versus scanning in our inner world. And we're going to practice doing just that. So, wherever you're at, whether you take a seat and just kind of be comfortable, whether you're sitting in a chair, on the floor, or wherever you are, right? Just allow yourself to just be where you are and take a few moments to just notice the space that you're in. And I mean, really notice. Slow down, right? Everyone's so busy. Slow down and take a moment and really scan the room. Like move your body and look all around the room, top to bottom, and just noticing whatever stands out to you as you keep your gaze going all the way around, all the way to the back, and all the way back around to center. And then scanning the other side all the way around, scanning from top to bottom, just recognizing what you recognize, all the way back, all the way behind you, right? Taking in your environment. And just that slowing down to take in the outer environment begins to shift your nervous system because now you're fully aware of the space that you're in. And that helps to bring a sense of safety. So for someone that has anxiety or PTSD, especially, if you are in a space that is maybe noisy or loud, this can be a practice that helps you find a sense of feeling okay in the environment, right? So it helps us to begin to recognize, okay, I know the space that I'm in. I've taken the time to really take it in. I see that there are no immediate threats here, and I can allow myself to relax. I can allow myself to experience this space as being safe. This is what this practice teaches us. And it helps us to slow down because oftentimes we're moving so quick, we are not fully even aware of our environment. We don't take in the fullness of our surroundings. So once you are comfortable with taking in your surroundings, now we turn inwards and we begin the body scan inwards. So you'll close the eyes, remembering your outer environment, recognizing the space that you're in and feeling safe in that space. coming behind closed eyes and turning now that scanning to inside the body and starting with the head, scanning from the head all the way down to the toes. Just noticing, do you feel tension across the forehead or tension in the jaw? Feel tension in the neck? Are you leaning forward? Noticing the tops of the shoulders, the chest, and the upper back. And scanning the arms and the hands. And pausing to notice the sensation of what your hands are experiencing. We have so many nerve endings in our fingertips. If you can bring your awareness to your fingertips, do you feel the air that is flowing around your fingertips? And allow yourself to just be aware of what that sensation feels like. And continue scanning the body through the chest and the abdomen, down the mid back and into the lower back, into the hips and the bowl of the pelvis, the sacrum, noticing if there's tightness or tension, noticing if you're holding yourself differently on one side compared to the other. Just allowing yourself to be in awareness. And bringing that awareness all the way down into the legs. And allowing yourself to just be aware of what it feels like. Being aware of your feet and where they're at. Being aware of the energy that you feel flowing through the body. Being aware of the connection of your breath as it flows in the body. And can you feel what the air feels like as it travels down the throat? And as it travels back out of the throat, becoming more aware of the sensations as you feel them in the body. That's what somatics is all about. It's about the sensations of the body and connecting to that. And notice if just by this practice, if you've noticed your breathing slowing down, if you've noticed yourself becoming more calm. And as you continue with this awareness of your inner world, allow your eyes to open and be present with your inner world in the outer world. And just notice if it feels different to you now. Do you notice a difference in your energy, in your state of being? Do you notice if maybe your body feels more relaxed and less tense? Just be mindful of what you're feeling. And if you'd like, you can share it in the comments. So, this practice helps you to come back to that sense of embodiment within the body so that you're more aware of the sensations, right? Our body is meant to tell us these sensations to help us navigate our emotional state and our physical state and our mental state and our energetic state, right? It's there to tell us so much. So, by allowing ourselves to slow down and come into that connection again, we are also teaching ourselves that it is safe to be embodied, it is safe to be in our body, right? And that's a huge part of the practice, especially when you've had trauma, whether it's physical trauma, emotional, or mental trauma, right? We are learning that it is safe to be in the body. And that is huge. It is a huge practice in and of itself to come back into that sensation of being fully in the body and aware of how things feel in the body. Just taking a few moments just to feel into that. It's such a beautiful practice and simple practice that you can do to help. And it'll help kind of calm your nervous system. So, again, this is good for the more anxious end of the nervous system. If you're feeling into anxiety, nervousness, worry, fear, right? A little irritated or agitated, right? That's also good if you're feeling overwhelmed by things or really stressed out about things. This helps to bring you into a relaxed state. And it's just a simple practice that takes only a few minutes. And if you notice within this practice, your breath begins to relax. When we start releasing the tension in the body, when we allow ourselves to drop in deeper, our breath begins to relax. We begin to soften and open, which allows for the deeper breathing to start naturally occurring. It helps us to begin to slow down, and it becomes more natural to be in this state of slowness, right? Where we're just like, peace. We can move in a slower pace instead of being rushed or feeling like everything needs to be go, go, go. We can instead approach it with a more peaceful pace that allows us to maintain the sense of peace that we have just created for ourselves. So see how long you can carry this energy with you, this openness, this spaciousness that you've created within yourself. And notice if you can take on tasks and activities while keeping this energy, this state of being, this peacefulness as you do your normal tasks. So whether you're washing dishes or sweeping the floor or driving to work or doing your job, keeping this state of being helps you to be in more awareness of your surroundings, more awareness of yourself in the surroundings, right? And it will help you to make fewer mistakes, be less clumsy, right? Maybe. Depends on how clumsy you are. And it helps you to be in a state of more centeredness so that when a challenge or something doesn't quite work as planned happens, you can flow with more ease into being adaptable and coming up with a solution, right? So, this is what happens when we build our capacity for regulation. We create more resiliency in our system. So, instead of something happening that you weren't anticipating, throwing you off center, you now get to approach it being more centered. Right? That is ultimately the goal. We are meant to have these fluctuating patterns, right? And it's normal for something to kind of pull you out, but then it's also normal to be able to bring yourself back into centeredness, back into regulation. And so that's what this practice is this recognition that we can flow with ease between the different reactions that our nervous system has. And our nervous system is meant to have reactions. So, allowing and noticing and witnessing, because now you're more aware of the sensations in your body. So, you'll know, like, oh, I'm starting to feel more anxious. And you can feel into that anxious energy and figure out what is behind that anxious energy, what is causing that to come up in you in that moment. And then coming back to this practice, recognizing the safety of your surroundings. And if you're not in a safe space, perhaps that's a signal that you need to move to a safe space so that you can take into in your surroundings, feel safe in your environment, and then be able to turn and scan inwards to help you begin to slow down and naturally start to regulate your system again. So I hope you find this practice helpful. Let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback. And stay tuned. Next Wednesday will be another video that'll teach you another technique that you can do to help you find this place of centeredness and peace within your nervous system to help increase your overall wellness in mind, body, and spirit. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you next Wednesday. Bye.